been decades since an active duty Navy officer was charged with spying, but the military has brought these allegations against a man who came to the U.S. from Taiwan. Officials say it's Lieutenant Commander Edward Lin, who was assigned to a unit that oversees some of the Navy's spy planes. What's been disclosed by the Pentagon so far says nothing about the nature of what he revealed, but he was in a position to know about how the Navy gathers intelligence using these aircraft. Officials say he was spying for either China or Taiwan.
Dramatized by the James Bond film series for decades, and more recently on American TV screens with the series The Americans, time was when human espionage was the rage and the manner with which countries dug out secrets and dirt on their friends and enemies. We had been led to believe in the last decade or so that it's all about cyber espionage now and what winds through the internet. But the arrest of an American naval lieutenant commander who was born in Taiwan and is a naturalized citizen involved in espionage and prostitution harkens us right back to realizing good old-fashioned spying and sex are not a thing of the past. Park the Aston Martin. Let's break out the pen cameras. Our guest specializes in national security and intelligence, focusing mostly on international espionage. Deputy Director of the European Intelligence Academy and professor in the Intelligence and National Security Studies program at Coastal Carolina University. Welcome Joseph Fitsanakis. I'm sorry, I knew I'd get that wrong, Joseph. Joseph Fitsanakis to the Hardline. Joseph, the first thing we have to do is make sure that I get my English right, but I apologize for that myself. Joseph, let's get rolling here. How shocking is this to see somebody like this involved at this level?
It is shocking. It's, as you mentioned in your introduction, the first case in decades that a U.S. Navy sailor has been actually accused of espionage. The last case I can think of was the John Walker case a full 18 years ago or more. This is, I wouldn't say it's unprecedented, but it's definitely one of a handful of cases in recent history when an active member of the U.S. military has been accused of espionage.
What does this then tell us about what is human intelligence? We hear so much about that when it comes to the Middle Eastern theater and needing to basically get down to that level. We talk about it all the time in America, doing it over there. But does this not tell us that that look for human is still a priority for other countries when it comes to being in America?
You see, in the United States, our tradition of intelligence gathering is not human. It's mostly technical intelligence collection, things like signals intelligence, electronic interception, and so on and so forth. Other countries, including Russia, before that the Soviet Union, China today, have a lot more of a tradition in human intelligence collection. And so they are tend to be more active than we are in actually recruiting spies, actual human beings that collect information on their behalf. And this could be one of those cases.
So does it basically then speak to America that we've become soft on human intelligence, not only getting people into other areas, but worrying about human intelligence and espionage agents infiltrating our own government, that we're just not as good at it as we should be?
I think there's two separate questions here. One is to the extent to which the United States is good enough in human intelligence collection. The other question is to what extent can it defend itself from human intelligence collection on its own side. And this appears to be a case when counterintelligence seems to be lacking in the United States. Of course, it is much, much easier to spy on the United States than it is to spy on a closer society, like, say, Russia is today, or China, certainly North Korea, in cases like that. So in this case, because of the open nature of our society, the United States is far more susceptible to human espionage than other countries. It doesn't necessarily mean it's being soft. It means that it actually has its own style of social interaction that makes it sometimes more susceptible to human espionage. I would argue, however, that was also the case during the Cold War, and the United States won that conflict.
I got about 60 seconds left here then. We're constantly talking here about the need for greater security in America. And we always talk a lot with a lot of experts about how the fact that America just seems to be so far behind the scenes in so many ways. Does this now, to you, say that there will maybe some greater scrutiny of military personnel, greater scrutiny of persons who are involved close to the government, but we need then to ratchet that up because this is a warning sign?
There will be more scrutiny. We'll have to first wait to see what the nature of this case is, how serious it is. My personal instinct tells me that it's actually quite a serious case. Having said that, the United States government currently has over 4.5 million people who have security clearances. The recent case of the Office of Personnel Management hack illustrates some of the issues to do with this. Ironically, if you want now to apply for security clearance, you have to do it in handwriting because the OPM system is offline, because nobody can guarantee that it's actually secure enough. It's these kind of challenges that America faces that makes all of us, including myself, realize that we live in a very different era than from that, say, that our parents were living in back in the Cold War.
We live in a very different era, but unfortunately some things do come forward from the Cold Era back to here. As I said, this really brings to mind a lot of what goes on in spy novels as well, but it is still here. We need to focus on it. Professor Joseph Fitsanakis, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. Now, how does Bernie Sanders plan on changing the minds of Hillary voters? And for that matter, can anyone change a Republican's mind to vote for or against Donald Trump at this stage of the campaign? We'll focus on that with the political animal next on The Hard Line.